Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the GN Sports Show. Before we start, I'd like to apologize for the late start, but we're here and we're ready to go. Ricky, another episode. Good night.
Good night. Of course, it's good to be back on again this Thursday and we have a packed night actually. Um, with this late start, let's hope we get through everybody in record time.
But
So
of
I
course,
guess
my time management skills are excellent.
okay. Well, if you say so, Zico, I will trust you. But let's see how it goes tonight. And in the studios we have Generation Next Rebels on the 9 coach Nigel Skinny Graham and two of his players Cole Gardner and Michael Pigott. Welcome to the studio all.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Who's gonna go first? Ricky,
Okay.
this is your segment. You know.
Okay. Well, let's
Ricky likes interviewing the kids, so this is Ricky's segment.
okay. Let's start with Cole. Cole, first of all, welcome to the GN Sports Show. What's your bedtime so that we make sure you get home in time to go to sleep? What's your bedtime?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So you might be extended a little bit over because you live in Jolly Harbour, right? Oh, where do you live?
In Lightfoot.
In Lightfoot. So
I think Mommy can make an exception for you
so we
tonight.
make an exception for you tonight.
And maybe your bedtime will be 8:30.
So Cole, why is it you started playing football and how you began your football experience?
My daddy got me into football
Okay. And how long ago you started playing with Generation Next? 4 years. 4 years ago. I think it was 3. But anyway, we're not gonna argue for 1 year. And you've played in a couple of leagues. What's one of the teams that you enjoyed playing against?
Northern Patriots.
Northern Patriots. Did you win your division?
Yes.
Okay, so you got the championship trophy, and were you very happy with your team's performance?
Yes.
Okay, and who's your coach?
Coach Skinny.
Okay, Coach Skinny. What school do you attend?
I attend the St. John's Lutheran School.
Okay, and do you have a favorite subject?
Math.
Oh, we have a lot of mathematicians.
That's good, because I'm terrible at maths. So you keep working hard, so you don't end up like me, and you keep passing maths all the time.
And do you play football at school too?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's go over to Mike.
Hey, you didn't ask the young man what's his favorite team.
Well, I'm going to come back to that.
Oh, you're going to come back to
I'm
that?
going to come back.
Because
going back and forth.
I want you to realize that even the kids have better choice in teams than you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. I believe he was coaxed anyway. Anyway, we'll get into that as we go.
The young man knows quality.
So, Michael, what got you into playing football?
I used to watch a lot of TV about football.
Okay, so you watch a lot of football on TV then.
Yes.
And then you started to play with what's your first team you played with?
Swalings.
Swalings, and then you moved over to
Generation X.
and do you like it there?
Yes.
Okay, and who's your coach?
Coach Skinny.
Okay, and what school do you attend?
St. Nicholas Primary School.
And what is your favorite subject?
Mental math.
Oh, mental math. Well, that's even harder. Wow, we really have some potential geniuses from last week and this week. All mathematicians. That always good for the educational system in Antigua. And that's very, very good. I'm proud of you guys. And Skinny, Coach Skinny, Nigel Skinny Graham. We're not going to ask you how you got that nickname because your physical stature
kind of obvious.
would kind of indicate as to why you were given that name. So Skinny, what's your football experience in terms of clubs that you've played for locally?
Well, locally, I played for.
Everybody.
That's not right.
Just tell us the teams.
English Harbour. I played for Hilltop and Seafood Farm in one season, half of the season. I played half at Hilltop first and then other half at Seafood Farm FC. Then I went to the bigger division, which is Premier at Empire. And now I'm at Jennings Lineage FC.
Okay, and what position you normally right wing, left wing, any wing? So you're good with both feet.
He's afraid of the physical contact in the middle of the field.
Oh,
That's why he runs out there.
well, I've seen him play, and he's pretty quick. I know he scored. I know he scored.
Zico connected.
I don't have to, my friend. I don't have to.
And when did you start your coaching career?
Coaching career actually started with Daddy Strikers. We were located at Falmouth. It was the sister club of Generation XFC. That was in 2016, I think.
Yes,
I'm
you're correct.
2016, yeah.
2016. And hopefully, with Daddy Strikers, we'll be back on board in second division. Hopefully next year.
Not hopefully, but Dudley Strikers will be in the second division.
Sorry, Mr. Sampson. We'll be,
Yeah, we will be.
team with Generation.
That's Ricky's aim.
So
You
Zico
know,
is not going down.
I'm usually the voice of reason among the two. So I'm trying to explain to Ricky the 2-year project that he's about to embark. He's insistent that he's going to get it done in a year. But at the end of the day, we've been fortunate enough to go to the extent that we have been accepted as a club by the Antigua Barbuda Football Association. So that augurs well for the development of Generation X. Hopefully within the next year and a half to 2 years. If you follow Ricky's timeline, Ricky's saying a year.
Yes.
I am a little bit more cautiously
We will
optimistic
be in the second division
that
next.
we'll get it done.
Not this season, next season.
We'll
we
get
will
it
be
done in a.
and our head coach will be Zico.
I wished it with Daddy Strikers.
Well, that's good. And let's go back to these youngsters.
Yes,
Cole,
the best part.
what is your favorite team?
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Ricky, you heard that?
And do you have a favorite player?
Ozil.
Ozil.
Ricky, let's pause for a minute. The youngster said his favorite team is Arsenal.
I can ask him a follow-up question.
Wait.
as to why.
Before we get there, are you realizing that Cole, how old are you?
I'm 7 years
Cole is 7, and Cole has been blessed with the intuition to understand quality. Notice he didn't say Tottenham.
Where in the standings is Arsenal? Okay.
Tottenham is Pelican standing on a beach ball, if I'm correct.
But that's Ricky's team.
Anyway.
Tottenham. Do you know anybody else in Antigua that backs Tottenham?
Ricky alone.
No, Terry.
I know somebody else that
Yes.
that chose that as a favorite team.
Who else is a Tottenham fan, Cole?
My friend.
Okay. Who's your
Okay.
favorite player?
Ozil.
Arsenal.
Who's your favorite
Ozil.
player in Arsenal? Ozil?
Yes.
Excellent choice.
And Michael, do you have a favorite team?
Yes,
And what's your favorite team?
Barcelona,
Barca. A Barca
Okay,
fan.
well, this is going to be quite easy. And who's your favorite player?
Messi,
Messi, yes.
Good choice. Good
Yes.
choice.
And how old are you, Michael?
8 years old.
8 years old. So Skinny, let's go back to you for a second. You're now with the Generation X setup, and you're the head coach of the Under-9 division. And in the last league that we had, the Gomez Netherlands Insurance Youth Football League, how did you fare? How did your team fare?
Undefeated, not a draw, empty wins. You know, everybody should.
Well, so you're touting your coaching prowess. Yes.
Didn't lose one game, didn't draw one game, all wins.
Well, that's a hell of an accomplishment. And of course, we'll be starting the Youth Futsal League next week, Saturday, October 13th. And of course, that's a different discipline of football. It's played with a heavier ball. It's normally played on a harder court, but because we don't have the facility, and I don't want the youngsters playing on concrete. The size of the field is smaller. It's 5-a-side, so it's a much faster game. So it brings out the the talent in the kids, I think, a lot easier because they have to pass the ball. They don't have a choice. So even the stronger ones will have to pass to the weaker ones, and the weaker ones can only improve from something like that. Are you looking forward to that?
Very much so.
And do you think you can continue?
The interesting thing about the skill ball is I've found a tremendous improvement. In the technical ability of a lot of our youngsters since we started the skill ball league as part of our program, because it's a smaller field, it's a shorter space, and it means, just as the name suggests, you got to use your technical ability. And so that's one of the most exciting parts of our calendar at Generation X, is having the youngsters display that skill, because it's a smaller space. Interestingly though, the younger ones is generally the same size, and so they're really, really comfortable. The biggest adjustment comes from the older age groups, who are playing most times on a larger space. So now it's a tighter area, it's a smaller area, and so they find now that they have to actually use that technical ability as opposed to speed and power and aggression, and then that makes for an interesting competition, because in the skill ball league they're usually upsets.
Yes.
They're usually upsets. Whereas in the longer version of the game, the scores are more predictable, the wins are more predictable. But in the skill ball competition, because of the smaller space and difference in the ball and the difference in the surface, there's always going to be a few upsets within that competition. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. For those teams who haven't registered yet, it means you have less than a week to get it done.
Yeah, it has to be done by Saturday because the schedule goes out on Sunday.
And once we start our schedule is printed for the entire competition. So I'm encouraging coaches who are interested in being part of the Generation X Skill Ball League, get in touch with Ricky. We'll have the information out. It's on Facebook, but we'll send another broadcast. So if you're a coach and you're desirous of having your team join us for our skill ball competition, you're more than welcome to do so.
And just before we go, I'd just like to ask Cole, would you like to give a shout out to anyone?
Yes, I would like to give a shout out to my parents, Anisha and Glenn, and I would like to give a shout out to Bill, and I would like to give a shout out to my brothers, Chase, Crown, and Perry.
Excellent stuff.
And who else? You want to give a shout to your dad?
Anybody else?
Yeah, that.
Go ahead.
That goes with my parents.
Okay.
Excellent stuff.
And Mikey, would you like to give a shout out to anybody?
My mom, Rhea Pigott, and my sister, Zanya Pigott.
Okay.
Skinny too big for shout out.
Your grandmother or anybody else?
And my grandparents.
Okay.
Skinny too big.
No, we're going to ask Skinny.
No, Skinny too big for
No,
shout out.
Skinny has to give a shout out, and he has to give a shout out to one person I know.
One
At least one person I know you have to give a shout out to.
Shout out to Koi.
Yes, that's my boy. Anybody else Skinny you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah.
Parents, family, the whole of Generation X FC, Grenades FC, everybody. The whole of, and ABS.
Okay, now before we go into our next segment, I would just like to thank the sponsors of Generation X, because it's because of those sponsors that we've been able to branch out into different ventures, such as the GN Sports Show. So I'd like to just acknowledge them. Of course, we have North Coast Hardware on 2 locations, in the Village Walk and on the Blue Waters Main Road. I'd like to give a shout out to our gold sponsor, Frank Wall Limited, the Candyman, wherever you see those M&M products. Frank Wall Limited is responsible for that. Our silver sponsors, Kenneth A. Gomez and Sons, and that's located in Palm Court on the Fries Hill Road for all your insurance needs. Also Island Photo, which is in the same location on the Royal Palm, just off of Frieshill Road. So all your photography and photography related items, check out Island Photo. We'd like to thank our shipping sponsor, Antigua Cargo. And just go down there to Antigua Cargo, just above Bike Plus, and John Andrew and his wonderful staff will look after all your shipping needs. We'd also like to thank Francis Trading Agency and our football sponsor, or the ball sponsor as we call it, Excel Engineering. So without all, I forgot, we have another sponsor too, Beach Limers. So all of those sponsors have made this possible. And of course, too, Zico, the GN Sports Show, has just gotten our platinum sponsor, and the show is going to be rebranded from the GN Sports Show to Automotive Art GN Sports Show. So we'd like to thank Automotive Art for kindly coming on board and assisting in affording us this opportunity to give some kind of gratuity to ABS for airtime that we're doing here. So Automotive Art is responsible for that, so we'd like to thank them. So it'll be from now on, it'll be called the Automotive Arts GN
Sports Show. Same time, same place. It's actually 8 o'clock in the studio, and what we're going to do now, we're going to switch to our...
Before we switch to that, Shannon, if it's okay, we can, because we have to do the interview.
Oh yes, we have
the interview, because we have upcoming university identification combine, which is going to be taking place
in November.
Sorry, Clare Hall. Okay, we're going to do Clare Hall first.
So we're gonna do the interview at Clare Hall, and then after that we're gonna have that telephone conversation with head coach
Jaymee.
of William Penn University, Jaymee Highcock. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch now to that interview from the Clare Hall Secondary School with the principal, Mr. Ashwat Azil, and 2 of his bright upcoming student athletes. Welcome to another edition of our school's interview on the Generation Next Sports Show. And today we are at the Clare Hall Secondary School. And as usual, we're going to have a short conversation with 2 athletes from the Clare Hall Secondary School, as well as the principal. So joining me first of all is Carleen Thomas. And we're going to have a quick chat with Carleen, see what she's up to, see what she's into. So Carleen, thank you first of all for agreeing to do the interview with us at the GN Sports Show. How are you today?
I am fine, thank you.
All right, Carleen. First, how old are you?
I am 16 years old.
And what's your sport?
Football.
Oh, excellent. We finally got some footballers. Yay, good stuff. For most of you, I'm passionate about sports in general, but I have an absolute love for football. And so I am happy when we get footballers to interview. How long have you been playing football, Carleen?
I've been playing football for 4 years.
4 years, and within...
Conversations is back. But before we meet our guests for Season 2, we'll take a look back at the highlights of Season 1 all throughout the month of September. So join us every Monday at 8 p.m. for Conversations right here on ABS.
Would like to inform you that
of our school's interview on the Generation Next Sports Show. And today we are at the Clare Hall Secondary School, and short conversation with two athletes from the Clare Technical School as well as the principal. So joining me first of all is Carleen Thomas, and we're going to have a quick chat with Carleen, see what she's up to, see what she's into. So Carleen, thank you first of all for agreeing to do the interview with us at the GN Sports Show. How are you today?
I am fine, thank you.
All right, Carleen. First, how old are you?
I am 16 years old.
And what's your sporting discipline?
Football.
Oh, excellent. We finally got some footballers. Yay, good stuff. For most of you who know me, I'm passionate about sports in general, but I have an absolute love for football. And so I'm happy when we get footballers to interview. How long have you been playing football, Carleen?
I've been playing football for 4 years.
4 years. And within that time, first of all, tell us what got you into football, first of all.
Well, I have seen family members and school colleagues play football, so just thought that it would be interesting.
And tell us how do you enjoy playing football? What are some of the good things about the fact that you play?
Well, football helps us teammates to work together, and I like to see teamwork between both players and components.
Excellent stuff. And within those 4 years you've been playing, what would you say has been your greatest achievement so far?
My greatest achievement is becoming a part of Antigua national side for under 17.
Excellent. So were you in that young team that went to Miami this year?
No, I was with the under 17 that went to St. Lucia.
Oh, that's fantastic stuff. Finally, Carleen, what would you say is your goals, first of all, as it pertains to football, and then secondly, life in general? So what are your goals as far as football is concerned?
As far as football, I would like to get a scholarship to go to attend the university in Alabama.
That's excellent. And we have a few young ladies who would have left for that school in Talladega, and that's excellent. And life in general, what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, I would like to be an accountant.
And that's excellent stuff. Carleen, again, thanks for joining us. Nice, quick little chat. And we hope that you achieve your goals, and we wish you all the best in everything that you plan on doing. Thanks again. So joining us now is Javon Benjamin, and just as we did with Carleen a few minutes ago, we're going to have a quick chat with Javon. Good morning, Javon, and thanks for agreeing to do this quick interview with us at the GN Sports Show. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Excellent stuff. So Javon, how old are you?
I'm 18 years of age.
And what sport do you play?
Football.
Yeah, 2 for 2 today. 2 footballers, and that's excellent. So tell us quickly, how long have you been playing, and how did you get involved in the sport?
Well, I've been playing 6 years ago, and my brother introduced me to play football more.
And that's excellent, and most of us would have had that motivation from family members, so that's not uncommon. Interestingly, on my way here, I found out an interesting fact. You were included in the senior men's training squad for the game against St. Lucia a few weeks ago. First of all, tell us what was the feeling like receiving the call up first, and then tell us what was your experience like training with the seniors.
Well, the feeling was good to be called up, but training was kind of tough, and yeah, I mean, some local players from overseas, and I like the training.
That's excellent. So hopefully you would continue putting in the work, and we will definitely get a chance to see you at the national level representing Antigua and Barbuda on an international scale. In terms of football, what would you say within the 6 years of you playing, what would you count as your greatest achievement so far?
Well, my greatest achievement was winning a Villa League for Pigott Bullets, when I assist my first special skill, I and Akeem Isaac finish. And not really.
Well, that's excellent. And as far as your goals as it pertains to football, what do you hope to accomplish?
Hope to accomplish to be one of the best footballers in Antigua and go away and be a professional football player.
And that's excellent. And then from what I've seen, you definitely have the skills to be among the better players in the country. And so I'll encourage you to work hard. Finally, if you had the forum to speak to students at your school or students in general, what will you tell them as far as it school and sports, as far as it pertains to balancing both school and sports?
Well, practice make perfect, and have to do your schoolwork before you study football. Yeah.
That's excellent. Akeem, thank you for joining us on the GN Sports Show, and thank you for agreeing to do the interview with us. And so that was Carleen and Javon, both students, football players at the Clare Hall Secondary School. And again, we'd just like to thank both athletes for joining us. In a few minutes, we're going to have a chance to speak with the principal of the Clare Hall Secondary School, Mr. Ashworth Azil, and we'll get his thoughts on school and education, and also what's going on at the Clare Hall Secondary School as it pertains to sports. So we'll be back with that final bit of our interview with the principal in a few minutes. As promised, we are joined by the principal of the Clare Hall Secondary School, Mr. Ashworth Azil. And we're going to have a quick chat with Mr. Azil as far as the balance between education and sports, as well as the plans or his programs at the Clare Hall Secondary School as it pertains to school and sports. So first of all, Mr. Azil, thank you for facilitating our interview, and thank you for joining us on the GN Sports Show.
Certainly, Mr. It's my pleasure, and again, let me congratulate you and your team on this new initiative, which is definitely giving a voice to sports, particularly as it relates to the involvement of our young people in the various sporting activities. And I sincerely pray that as they receive this sort of exposure, that the rest of the public will provide that sort of strong support that is absolutely necessary for their continued success. So you've spoken to some of my athletes already, so you've gotten a sense of some of the things that we're doing here, particularly our footballers. We at Clare Secondary School, we have a very strong sporting program. In fact, it is my personal belief that school is not only a place for academics, that if we are going to turn out citizens who are responsible, citizens who are productive, those citizens need to be well-rounded. And a critical element in creating that well-rounded individual is ensuring that they have full access and that they can participate freely in sporting activities which tend to complement their academics. Let me say from the onset that there's a very false notion that if a child is not doing well in school, then you just send him to sports. He doesn't have to do well. Our philosophy here is that both of them need to complement each other. Sports has to be viewed as a vehicle for young people, not only as a vehicle to get them out of their poor economic state that some of them incidentally find themselves in, but also a vehicle for transporting them to various places around this world, giving them the sort of attitudes that are necessary for full integration in society and successful integration into society. And so what we have found here is that by exposing our children to the various sporting disciplines, be it football, cricket, volleyball, basketball, and we do have a whole cadre of sporting activities that we get involved in here, we have been able to see students who have been average students excel quite significantly, because again, what sport does is that it helps them to build discipline. First and foremost, in order to be a part of a football team, you know that there is certain practice regimen, and the coach requires that you arrive on time. The coach requires that you complete your various tactical sessions in an efficient manner. And what we have seen is that a lot of the students are now translating those skills that they're learning on the field into the classroom. In addition to that, as a school, we also want to ensure that we are not creating that imbalance, so the students would appreciate that in order for you to continue playing basketball for the school, behavior must be good. Academics must be good. And if you're failing in any one of those areas and we aren't able to quickly remediate you, then we ask you to take a leave of absence from the basketball or the cricket or the football team until such time that you can get your performance back up to par. It is not a punishment. It is helping them to appreciate that while you are keen about playing the sport, you must also pay serious attention to the academics. So we try to strive a balance here at Clare Secondary School.
And that's excellent, and that's not dissimilar. And we both had the opportunity to work at Otters Comprehensive a few years ago, and that's not dissimilar from the program that we have at Otters, because I firmly believe in student athletes, with the emphasis first of all on being a student. And so there are certain requirements, certain boxes that have to be checked off in order for you to participate in the sport, because it's important for these youngsters to understand that it's not a right, but it's also a privilege, and with privileges are earned. So what would you say to parents who are of the opinion that as soon as my child isn't necessarily doing well, or not even so much not doing well, but as soon as it comes around to test and exam times, usually the first thing that gets taken away is that training time? What would you say to parents to sort of dispel that notion that our students don't have the ability, or they're going to struggle in their academics if they continue playing? What would be the message that you want to send out to parents at this point?
So immediately my first response would be no. And I've had parents who've come to me to say, listen, exams are coming up. I'm going to withdraw my child from this particular program. And I ask them why. In fact, the child is at school for 5.5 hours. If you're able to work with your child to create a schedule for their day, then you'd be amazed to see how many hours in that day they can spend doing absolutely nothing. And so if we're able to structure their day in such a way that you know they're devoting an hour and a half to training in the afternoon, and they're devoting an hour and a half to getting homework done and so forth, and you'd appreciate that they have a whole lot of time in the evening to concentrate and just doing nothing, perhaps relaxing, doing something for their own recreation and so forth. So it would certainly not be my advice to parents to withdraw students from sporting activity, from training, if they are in the event that exams and so forth are coming up. We want to help the children focus. Let me just give you a little anecdotal piece. My daughter is involved in ballet. She loves it. She loves dancing. She loves music. And it competes certainly with her time in the afternoon. But she has been able to, with the help of ballet, and she's said it by her own admission, that I'm able to concentrate for a longer period. This dancing has helping me to focus so much more on the things that are important, school and so forth. So we can see through that little testimony, and we've heard it from many others, that they've been able to develop a sort of structure for their life with the help of sports. And that discipline, once translated into school, can yield tremendous success for the children. So I urge parents, do not pull them away from the sports. In fact, we have to begin to view sports. Again, I spoke about the vehicle earlier. We have to begin to view sports in some instances, not just something that they do for recreation, but we also have to see it as a business opportunity for children. As we venture beyond the face of school, sports in all particular disciplines, there's a professional element to it. And many of our kids are able to attain scholarships, move on to play with professional outfits after universities and so forth, and gain valuable income at the end of the day. So we have to begin to look down the line and see how best we can help these children to set up a future for themselves that is speaking of success. And sports is one of those vehicles. And so I would advocate, listen, if they're not involved in a sporting activity, if they're not involved in a sporting activity at their school, get them involved in a club. Do something, ensure that they're physical. On a special note, I'm happy to share that the Clare Secondary School this year is a part of the Football for Obesity program. The first installation of that particular program being run, I think, among 6 secondary schools. And so we have engaged all of our first formers to participate in that Football for Obesity program. The whole idea being to focus on health and wellness using football as the vehicle. Our hope is that while the program is not centrally focused on creating the best footballers, but our hope is that it will inspire in those who previously did not have an inclination to play football, it will inspire in them that sort of passion and the love for the game that will spur them to want to represent their school and represent their communities. Already we're seeing kids like Javon, who's in school but yet making a leap into the national outfit and so forth. So there's a whole lot of scope for our student athletes.
And that's excellent. That's excellent advice. And I would want to say that I could not have said it any better myself. And so you're hearing it from principal, the importance of balancing school and academics, and also the benefits that the sport would have translated to school. So Mr. Azil, again, thank you for hosting us at the lovely Clare Hall Secondary School. And I would want to extend a special thanks to both of your student athletes who did the interview with us. And again, thanks for having us here. It has been my pleasure once again to do another interview for the GN Sports Show, this time from the Clare Hall Secondary School. And we had a chance to speak with 2 aspiring football players, as well as the principal of the Clare Hall Secondary School. And once again, the pleasure was all mine. Stay tuned for more from the GN Sports Show. So welcome to and you could tell from the interview I was really, really excited because, again, football is my passion. Ricky, the biggest take on that interview was the section where I had a chance to get Mr. Azil's feedback in terms of the importance of sport as within the school and the benefits and true to form with the other 2 principals that we interviewed before. Everyone keeps saying, and I'm hoping that parents especially start to understand the importance of having not only well-rounded children, but also balancing academics and sports. And you heard it from not only 1, 2, but 3 principals so far has said that, you know what, we are seeing better results from our athletes because sports instills discipline.
Well, which brings us into our next segment, because Generation X, in collaboration with the Antigua and Barbuda Football Association, will be hosting a university identification combine, and from two coaches from the United States universities, William Penn University and Drake University. And on the line we have with us Jaymee Highcock, who is the assistant head coach at William Penn University. Are you here with us, Jaymee? Jaymee, are you here?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Jaymee, you're hearing us?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear, yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, first of all, Jaymee, welcome to the Automotive Art GN Sports Show here in Antigua. And how's the weather up there in Iowa?
It's a little bit cold. It's about 60 degrees. The winter is definitely coming, that's for sure. But it's probably not like it is down there in Antigua, but it's nice and warm there, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I was just Jaymee, Zico here. I was just about to ask you if you're just about missing the Antiguan weather at this point.
Don't get me started, Zico. I am missing it more than ever. Yeah, the winter's coming. It's getting colder and colder and colder. It dropped down to about 40 degrees yesterday, so it was pretty chilly.
Yeah, I don't envy you guys one bit. But Jaymee, you know what? I'm really, really excited because you guys were here during the summer. And so a couple of weeks ago when Ricky told me we definitely had you guys penned for coming back in November, I was really, really excited because it means we are going to give a few more of our young players in Antigua an opportunity to showcase their talent, not only to get an education, but also be exposed to a different element of football. For just before we even get into anything else, just for our viewing and our listening audience, Shelana Knight is being coached by Jaymee Highcock right now at William Penn. Shelana Knight, our national under 20 player. So before anything else,
and Johan Derek.
And Johan Derek, because Johan moved as well. Before anything else, Jaymee, could you give us some feedback as to how those two guys especially are doing?
Yeah, I'll start with Johan. Obviously, Johan transferred to us from York College in Nebraska, following our visit in May. Obviously, with the camp that we did when we were there earlier in the summer. You know, I met Johan's parents and yourself and Ricky. Told me the possibility of Johan willing to transfer, and we managed to get that done at a very late date. And you know, he's doing fantastic, Johan. It's been a bit of a stop-start season for him, in all honesty. At the moment, he's been having a slight injury, and we're trying to nurse him back to full health. But he's definitely come on. He's played some crucial minutes, and you know, he's finding his feet. We've got a few injuries and suspensions in defence at the moment. I know he played last weekend, and we played against number 8 team in the nation. So Johan played then. He's just on a very good team at the moment, and he's just waiting for some playing time. Now getting to Shelana. Shelana was a really late addition. To be honest, I didn't know if we were going to get Shelana over the line with his visa issues, with some of the American holidays that were taking place, and just to get him cleared through the playing house. I was almost certain that Shelana wasn't going to come, but we managed to get it all sorted, and we're glad to have him. He's still finding his feet as well, and I think he's got a lot more to offer. He's starting. He is playing well, Shelana. He's maybe not getting the stats and the goals that he thinks he should get, and maybe that we're wanting from him. But the team is flying at the moment. We're top of the conference. We're probably going to be in the top 25 in the nation when the next polls come out next week. And we're 9-2 at the moment. So it's a good team that they're on, and they're both doing their part, and we're lucky to have both of them on our squad.
Yes, that's excellent. So we're looking forward to having you guys here. It's going to be on the 22nd to the 29th. Just give us an idea of what our young players can look forward to during that combine.
Well, we want to come out there, me and Coach Kevin Brennan from Drake University, we want to come out and promote education. You know, we do realize that, and we want to share to these children in Antigua, is that you are a student athlete. The word student is first, the word athlete is second. So, you know, we are giving potential children, male and female in Antigua, an opportunity to get a scholarship, to get an education, and then the soccer will come with it. Now, I always say to the kids, you know, if you come in and you do well at William Penn, you know, you might go on to play at a higher level, but the key is the education. So we firstly want to come out and promote education to the kids. We want them to give them an opportunity, a platform to showcase their talent academically and athletically, you know, to put them in a good stance. Whether that be at William Penn or Drake University, we have a number of ties to different colleges at every level in America, and we want to help as many kids as possible. We were only there for a brief period in May, and I could see some great potential in what I saw in the youth soccer, both male and female in Antigua. And we want to keep giving these kids opportunities, and we want to help them. If America is what they want to do, or is overseas in Europe, or whatever through our connections, we want to help them get to where they need to be.
Okay, the other thing, Jaymee, Ricky here, the other thing is we discussed not only university scholarships in terms of the educational aspect of it, but for those who, and I know we have the academic criteria to get into the university, because it's not only just about your talent on the field, you have to have a minimum requirement to get into the university also too. But we also discussed while we were having our talks over the months, the possibility through your connections from the university with some semi-pro teams, that there are possibilities also for that. Could you elaborate a bit on that for us?
Yes, certainly. And I know that is something that we've discussed in the summer as well, when I put you in contact with some MLS clubs and even some clubs overseas back in Europe. If the kid academically is not good enough to possibly get into a university, but he is very good athletically and could play soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, at a higher level, then we could put them into that position and we could put them in touch with the right people. Now, it is a highly competitive environment, but We have connections with the PDL, which is the Professional Development League, which is basically a summer league, which is for university-level players or players overseas coming in to play in the summer months. We have many kids. I have 3 guys that played under me in university playing in the USL at the moment, which is the league below the MLS. And we've also had looks with some of our players in the college system into the MLS. And from coaching courses that we've been on, and just through our connections through football, through me and Kevin, we do have possibilities for both male and female to play at a higher level. But ultimately, that's going to come down to the individual if they're good enough, and if they progress further from there.
And also too, Jaymee, is that when we're doing this combine here in Antigua, which is from the 22nd of March to the 22nd of November to the 29th of November, we'll also be doing some video and footage so that you can pass that on to other universities once your capacity is full, and hopefully we'll have a number of scholarships after this visit from you. Just elaborate a little bit more on that also for me too, on how you foresee the video and going.
Yeah, so we want to video record the game, so we can then show that to our other coaches, our network of coaches, people that we know and trust, that would potentially see something in a player that maybe me or Kev.
Okay, we seem to have lost Jaymee. As soon as we get him back on the line, we'll continue with that interview.
While we're waiting on that,
I'm really looking forward to this combine.
Yeah, because in addition to Jaymee coming from William Penn, we also have Kevin Brennan. He was the other coach that was here in May, and he's from Drake University. And if I'm not mistaken, Drake is a Division 1 school. So we got him back.
We have him back.
Okay. So Jaymee, you were talking about the video aspect of the combine.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
I said you were before we lost you just now. You were talking about the video
component.
The video component of the combine in November.
Yes. So obviously, if we film the game, we can then get copies of that, and we can advertise that, and we can pass that on to other college coaches that we know in the United States, because they might be looking for a certain position that we're not, or they might not see something that that we might not see. There might be kids that could play at a higher level than our university. There could be kids that could play at a lower level than our university. So if we can advertise and we can video and we can promote this game, we can then pass this on, and hopefully the kids can find the home that they need. We are coming out to represent our universities, but ultimately other universities, and we want to help them, and we want to help the kids, and put them in the best platform possible. Also, it'd be a great tool for the kids if they do film the game and if they do see it, to watch it back themselves. And maybe it's not this year, so say if the kid is maybe 15 or 16 years old, they could, I know obviously the video footage is you guys use it, but, then they could maybe look at themselves in their game and say, okay, maybe I should do this. And then hopefully this is something that we can do for a number of years. With us coming out in November, it should give us the good chance that we will have our best scholarship money, and we can offer these kids exactly what they need and what they deserve.
Well, that's wonderful, and it's something that we're very grateful for, that Generation Next could have formed a hopefully long-lasting relationship with both your university, William Penn, and Kevin Brennan's university, Drake University. And we hope that this will be a very long-lasting, so we can afford the young aspiring footballers in Antigua some wonderful educational scholarships, if at the very least, even a semi-pro
definitely
contract. Well, Jaymee, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for joining us tonight and taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the Automotive Art GN Sports Show. Thank you, Jaymee.
Thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to coming out to November. And if you need anything beforehand, let me know. But I look forward to seeing you and everyone else in Antigua in November. So thanks for your time tonight.
All right, thanks a lot, buddy.
No, just...
thanks, guys.
All right.
Now, just if we can just talk about the combine. It's going to be occurring at the ABFA's training facility up at Painters. Registration are open for males between the ages of 16 to 20 and females from 15 to 19. Registration, you could contact telephone number 720-6741 to register, or email info@generationnextfc, that's GENNEXTFC.com. There is a registration fee that will be attached to it. So when you call, you'll get all that information. So it's for males and females.
The registration process is important, and I think we need to elaborate on that a little bit. The registration process is important because we need to have an idea of the numbers first of all, because that's important.
There's a limited numbers.
Not only because the spaces are limited, but it also determines the type of session that's going to be run. So registration is definitely important. Again, we're going to have updates. We're going to have updates in terms of the information. We're going to have updates in terms of the number that you could use, and also the web page that you could get all the information from. And it's very, very important that we try to maximize this opportunity, because it's extremely rare that we actually have university coaches leaving the States to actually come to the Caribbean to do scouting. Most of the times it's the other way around. Most of the time it's parents actually sending their kids to do tryouts or sending videos sending information.
To be honest, it's not a cheap event. No. It's a costly event. That's why we're forced that we have to charge a fee. If we would have preferred it not to be there.
And ultimately you don't want to have to charge. You don't want to have to charge to give somebody an opportunity. Yeah. But this is the nature. Cost are judged. Of the business, and there are always costs attached to this. But I will say it's an incredible opportunity, and I really, really hope that as many of our youngsters could take advantage of this.
But once again, they can easily find out a lot of the information if they go to our social media sites at GNFC Rebels. When they're talking about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all of the social medias we are. That's GNFC Rebels, and you can find out the information on that there too, or you can call the numbers I just indicated.
All right, Ricky, I think it's time we take a commercial break. And on the other side of the break, one of my favorite parts of the show, we're going to have Miss Shelana George, in the studio, and we're going to be talking about women's T20. But right now we're going to take a break, and then we have Miss George when we come back.
Conversations is back, but before we meet our guests for Season 2, we'll take a look back at the highlights of Season 1 all throughout the month of September. So join us every Monday at 8 p.m. for Conversations right here on ABS.
APA would like to inform consumers that the electricity network will be closely monitored during Hurricane Irma. Based on the severity of the weather conditions, the network will be completely closed down to minimize damage. This will be done under the advice of the Met Office. Residents are asked to have a supply of flashlights and other battery-operated lighting equipment. Candles and kerosene lamps are possible fire hazards and not encouraged.
Conversations is back, but before we meet our guests for Season 2, we'll take a look back at the highlights of Season 1 all throughout the month of September. So join us every Monday at 8 p.m. for Conversations right here on ABS.
APA would like to inform consumers that the electricity network will be closely monitored during Hurricane Irma. Based on the severity of the weather conditions, the network will be completely closed down to minimize damage. This will be done under the advice of the Met Office. Residents are asked to have a supply of flashlights and other battery-operated lighting equipment. Candles and kerosene lamps are possible fire hazards and not encouraged.
GN Sport. Every week it's cricket time, and we have the lovely Miss Shelana George in studio with us. And Shelana is the Marketing and Sportainment Officer for the ICC Women's World T20, first standalone women's tournament of that nature. And we are going to host the semi-finals and the finals in Antigua. Shelana?
And Shelana has brought us some goodies.
Yes, I have.
Yes. And thank you for those goodies,
You're
Shelana.
welcome. You're welcome.
Shelana,
Yes.
talk to us.
Well, guys, we're counting down. Today is 37 days until the tournament starts. We're getting there. It's winding down. It's all about watch this ICC Women's World T20, the first ever standalone tournament right here in the Caribbean, Antigua, Guyana, and St. Lucia.
And we have some practice warm-up games too.
Yes, we do the warm-up
And
games,
they're free.
which is the build-up to the tournament. So we have Antigua's getting a hell of a... Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have said hell. A steal of a deal, actually.
In the context, that's completely appropriate.
Yeah, because we're starting the tournament and we're ending the tournament. So we're getting the warm-up matches. We get to experience 9 out of the 10 teams. And then we get the semi-finals and the finals. So the only teams that won't be here for the warm-up matches, which is the 3rd, the 4th, and the 7th, is Bangladesh. And the admission is free. All you need to do is just make your way to the Coolidge Cricket Grounds, pull up with your cooler, your friends, your family, and just enjoy the games.
I don't need another.
So there's no excuse.
I don't, and more important, I don't need another invitation to bring my cooler anywhere.
And Shelana, we have someone else that's joining you.
Yes, as you know, tourism is the official ICC partner for Antigua, and we have Shermain Jeremeny, who is the PR and marketing and communications manager for tourism. Shermain?
Hello! It's my first time here. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm in the mix.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a usual. This segment is our usual party, have fun segment because.
So where's the music? Where's the?
Well,
oh, not that kind of party. Okay. I'll tone it down.
We know you're a singer.
Speaking about music, we're actually waiting on those copyrights.
Yes, we have to.
That pesky business of copyright infringement. Because we need to.
We need to play that tune.
We need to play
so we can come out dancing.
Yes. And that's a hot song.
And
yes,
that will complete our party.
I agree. Shelana. Make it happen. Make it happen, Shelana.
And Jeremeny, what's your role in this now?
So I've been tasked to be the lead on the marketing efforts for this huge event that we're preparing for. It's a great opportunity for Antigua and Barbuda. It's an awesome opportunity for tourism because it puts us on the global arena. And we are, we've been working very closely with ICC and Shelana, putting together marketing plans that we are going to execute to the best of our ability in the hopes that we not only spread the word about the events happening in Antigua, but also spread the word and about women in the sport and how incredible they are in their own right in what is kind of considered a man's world, a man's game. But we know that with this women's tournament, it's the first standalone, which means that if ICC says that the women can have a standalone tournament, it means the women are doing something good. So, and for us to be hosting the semifinals and the finals, that's huge for us. So we are excited about hosting these amazing women and welcoming them with all the hospitality that we as Antiguans can bring. So we're just excited, and we're just hoping that the community comes out to support and celebrates with us and cheers for these women.
And from the tourism aspect, it could be the launching pad of a sports tourism.
Absolutely, and that is on our agenda. So this is definitely going to be a stepping block for us getting into that niche of sports tourism, which is huge.
It is huge. But
like I said, this tournament is a way for us to show the world that we're open for business. So you have to watch this.
Yes.
Because this is how we do it, and we're open for business. Watch this.
And once it goes well, and I'm sure it will, particularly with the two of you there being at the helm of making sure it goes well, I'm confident that it will go well. And for those overseas markets and the people who cannot attend it, they can view it, of course, on television. They can see the atmosphere, they can see the excitement, they can see what Antigua is all about.
Exactly.
And then they will want to return, and then you can then go on to other sporting disciplines and attract people here to Antigua.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
exactly.
All the games are going to be televised.
All the games, yes.
And what do you anticipate the viewership being worldwide?
We're looking at about 60 to 75 million or more.
That is absolutely fantastic.
That's incredible.
So when we get to the semifinals and the finals, and I fully expect that our girls are going to be in both of those matches, you're going to have Antigua featured and Antigua being broadcasted to 70 to 80 million people.
You realize Antigua has been the first at many things in cricket. We've been the first at introducing music at cricket. We've been the first at the T20 format of the game.
That's right.
When we used to hold it, and India jumped on board and copied us. And look how huge it is over there.
Yes.
It's big.
Yes.
Amongst many other aspects. So I mean, it's a proud time for Antigua to be chosen not only for the semi-finals but for the finals.
Exactly.
Of the first standalone tournament.
And remember, we still have the warm-up matches 9. Remember,
yes.
9 out of the 10 teams will be here. Like this is amazing. It's like I said, we're starting the tournament and we're ending the tournament.
Right.
So you have 5 warm-up matches, 3 days. 2 games on the 3rd and the 4th, 4 and at 8 o'clock. And then on the 7th, it's at 8 o'clock.
Well, of course, our very own West Indian female team has been doing extremely well.
They have.
And they're the defending champions.
Yes, current champions.
Yes,
so what I would suggest, Shelana, is if you can speak to the Cricket West Indies and tell them to get the male team to come and watch and see what winning is all about.
That's right.
Yes.
I like that.
Let the females.
I love where this is going.
They won't be watching. Who says they won't be watching?
No, bring them to physically watch and let the females show them what winning is all about.
I am staying away from that.
Our focus is just to watch the women because they're doing great things and to support them. I agree with you.
Yes.
No, because I want to see the West Indies male team go back to the top again.
It's been too long.
Yeah, it's been way too long.
We all want that, but hey,
they have to want it for themselves.
It's taking a lot longer, and the women are winning. So
not to give away my age, but when West Indies was on top, I was just out of high school.
Oh boy.
And we haven't been on top for a long time since then.
So that mean we've been struggling for a while.
For quite a while. And I have to confess, I'm a true old-time West Indian. When we don't like the score, we turn off the radio.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why cricket has sort of lost its gist a bit, because the West Indies cricket team hasn't really been doing as well, and people want to rally behind somebody that's a winner, and we just kind of haven't had that.
That's why we have to rally around our
That's
West
why we
Indian
need the
girls.
women.
That's why we're bringing this excitement back into cricket.
And that is why
That's why you have to watch this.
And that is why I'm not wasting my energy on worrying about the men. Our men are not winning. It's unfortunate, but the women are.
Yes.
The women are, and I said this last week, and that's my pet peeve. The women are doing well. The women are winning. And most people are not paying attention.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And
Doing great.
Well, I think one of the main reasons for that, to be honest, is that culturally, we as West Indians are still a little bit chauvinistic.
Yeah, but there's no reason for that.
But so we still look, I'll tell you why, because we still look at cricket as a male-dominant sport.
Yes.
And no, that's why I agree with you, Shelana and Shermain. It's that it's a key time for everybody to come out and show your support for the female part of this sport. So that it can give our female, not only the West Indian females, but the other female teams, the encouragement to continue and encourage other females to be part of it.
Exactly.
So I think it's huge.
It's a win-win because.
And what better place than the West Indies, where the atmosphere is always exciting.
Exactly.
Here's the issue I have. The women are winning. Nobody's watching. Listen, the way I see it, they're much better looking than the men. And they're actually winning. So why are we not paying attention? Well, you know what? It's okay. I'll be there.
So you say they have two great things going for them. They're winning and they're beautiful women.
Exactly. And I'd much rather look at them. Plus, they're winning. Did I mention that?
Yeah, you mentioned that, but
just can't get more exciting than that.
I'm just making sure that everybody understands what we are saying. The women, as a matter of fact, they are presently playing a series against South Africa, and if I'm not mistaken, they won the second game as well.
Yes, they did.
When was the last time we won 2 games in a row? other than beating up on Bangladesh the other day.
Well, as I said, we're here to talk. So you said, as I said,
I see what you did there.
But I told you already, I'm a typical old-time West Indian. You don't like what's happening, you just shut it down. Shut it down.
Ricky actually watched and got to the point where he didn't like what he was saying. My experience with the West Indies is probably even worse most times, is that I have particular players that I enjoy watching, and once they're out or once they finish bowling their quota overs, I'm not interested in the game anymore. But then again, if you're winning, then that's something completely different. Because I've seen the girls train, I've seen them play, and they are exceptional at what they do.
Yeah.
They're extremely talented, and I don't think we are really bought into the fact that we have one of the best female teams in the world. And these ladies must
not
be
one of the
given
best.
credit.
We have the best.
Well,
there we go.
We're world champions, so we are the best.
Yeah. We have bragging rights. We have bragging rights.
Until you're beaten, until you're no longer champions, we are the best. So we have the best female team in the world. And I think the Antiguan public, and by extension the Caribbean, needs to, like the song says, rally, because that's our anthem. That's our anthem, and you know, Shelana's going to be here every week, and
Shelana's
by the time the tournament rolls around, we are going to have the stadiums packed for the semi-final.
Which Shelana has promised us every week that she's going to let out a little bit. So we want to hear from you, Shelana. What are we letting out this week?
What is new this week?
She's giving us a little teaser every week. So what's new for this week?
So we can fully say that we've booked all of our entertainment, local entertainment, I should say. So we have Tea and Winter, we have Claudette Peters, we have Young Lyrics, we have Kimmy, and we have Ricardo Drew.
Wow.
Carnival.
That is definitely going to be an
Carnival.
an electrifying atmosphere. It's definitely going to be that.
And trust me, the ICC has really put together an amazing program that's just in stadium alone. So it's not just a cricket match. It's going to be an entire experience that's going to really, encapsulate everything that is us as a people, as Antiguans, our music, our culture, our vibe, our lingo. All that is incorporated into the matches. So it's going to be something to experience that you just don't want to miss. You want to be there. It's history in the making.
Exactly.
And I can guarantee that West Indies is going to win again.
That's
Yeah.
I'm feeling something on this side. It's just telling me.
That is indeed the idea.
So you want to be able to say, I was there when the West Indies women's team won for the what? Second time in a row? Second time in a row.
Tell us about Shelana, tell us about tickets.
Yes.
All right, so tickets for the semifinals, they're $20. For the semifinals, $30. If you purchase both, you get it for $40.
Pay attention, Ricky.
Remember, you're buying this ticket.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind you every week now.
You don't have that to worry about.
Going to remind, no.
Yeah, you don't have that to worry about.
No, I'm making sure I don't have to
You
worry
don't
about.
have that to worry
I'm
about.
going to remind you every week, so pay attention.
Yeah.
We've also just launched the party stand prices. As you know, they were here on
we had
the
Michael
radio
online.
last week and
Yes.
television. So for the semis, it's 40 US, and for the finals, it's 60 US. And you get tickets, 5 tickets. They're redeemable for drinks and food. You can use them however you feel like.
So you can have all drinks if you feel like, and you can eat all you want if you feel like.
After those 5 tickets are finished, then you just purchase your drinks and your food.
Right.
Sadly, it's going to be past Ricky's bedtime. So you know what, those tickets
No,
that
but
you're gonna buy, I'll
no,
take those.
No, I never go to the party stand. I only went to the party stand once.
That's what.
And then I had too much to drink and I couldn't enjoy the cricket. And if I go in there, I'm going to watch the cricket.
But
I'm not going to
cricket
drink.
is for everybody.
Yeah,
That's why you
right.
have a party stand.
So I will have my drinks. I will have my drinks. But when I'm in the party stand, I tend to drink too much.
You can say, I'm going to the party stand. So I'm letting you know.
Yeah.
You buying tickets is not for no regular part of the stadium. So I'm putting you on advance notice that my tickets that you're paying for
is the party stand.
Is the party stand ticket.
Just so
No,
we don't
let's
have
make
any
that clear.
Yeah. No,
So
Shermain-
you have more witnesses.
Yeah.
So you can't back out now.
I never back out of anything.
Can't
I
back out
did.
now. You can't
Shermain,
back out now.
just coming to the tourism aspect
Yeah.
of it, because it's a passion that I have in terms of the sports tourism, because I think that it's so much room in not only in Antigua but in the Caribbean that we have not exploited it. That so I'm hoping that in the ministry that you can use this as a launching pad.
Absolutely.
For, as I said, not only cricket but for other sporting disciplines, because it's so much opportunities once you not only economically it will bring to the country, but it will expose our youngsters also
Exactly.
for greater opportunities.
Exactly.
And then it will attract international sporting teams to come and be part of Antigua, not only enjoy it but maybe invest also too.
Exactly. Yes.
And but of course, one of the challenges that we will have there is in terms of facilities. Of course, the Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium
Yes.
is a fantastic stadium.
Absolutely.
Exactly. World class.
But other than that, we are severely lacking in the other disciplines.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that once this takes off, and then we can attract investors to invest in sporting facilities to help carry that forward, because that will entail spending a lot of money for the infrastructure, but I think the rewards that will come from the sports tourism product will
Be phenomenal.
vast.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think the whole Caribbean, as I've kept saying this and this mantra for a long time, the days of sand, sea, and sun are over. We're not the only places in the world.
Yes,
So
exactly.
we have to divest and
We're
diversify.
competing with other Caribbean islands now.
Right, exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
So if we divest and diversify our tourism
Product, yes.
and I'm very passionate about the sports tourism aspect of it, because I see that that's a very, very viable.
It is.
Yes,
It really-
and we've
it really
seen it
is.
work in other places.
Yes.
For example, Jamaica, that places emphasis on its athletes.
Yeah.
And we've
And it's-
seen the rewards it has brought them.
Exactly, and then if you look at developing the sporting facilities to attract the sports tourism,
Exactly.
and you pick a person like Usain Bolt. You mention him, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what we want.
Exactly.
We want to be able to produce the world-class athletes that can then take us to the level that we need to be. So we don't need to pay influencers. We don't need to, bring celebrities who are not Antiguan. We use our own, but we have to first make the investment in our people. That's our greatest asset. And I think sometimes we lose the focus on that, and we think that we can get the best outside, but we fail to realize that it's cultivating the talents and the skills of our people that's really going to elevate Antigua and Barbuda.
Right.
So, and sports tourism is a perfect platform for that. And we don't have to say we think it can work, because we've seen it work.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it will work. So that's why I'm so excited about this standalone tournament here, and the first of its kind worldwide. And it's happening here in Antigua.
Yes.
And I'm just hoping that we capitalize on that and not make it just a one-off, and then it's all forgotten.
Yes.
And
I agree.
it just becomes a memory rather than a vehicle that we can use to transcend it into something even greater.
I agree, 100%.
So I hope you and the people of the ministry in the sports.
I hope they're listeing, Minister. I think he's out of country, but
I'm pretty sure if
Ministers,
he's listening, he'll get the message.
Minister Matthew, PM.
Because I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer in that, and the thing about it is that. It's just not taken away from you, Shelana, in terms of the ICC.
I'm
but
listening to you.
instead of putting all of these facilities, which I'm very passionate about, all over in different communities, spend the money and put one proper, maintainable facility, and let it be shared by the various communities, because we can't afford to. We can't rely on the government for everything.
Exactly.
And the government cannot afford to maintain all of these.
That's true.
So if you put down a proper facility that is shared by 3 or 4 communities or 2, however the experts see fit, that is maintainable. I pick a sport like basketball, for instance. It really pains me to see these youngsters playing on concrete.
I thought it was me alone.
It damages their knees.
That type of sport, dancing as well too. Like, you're not supposed to be on concrete.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be on wooden floors.
Yes.
The constant shock.
Yeah.
Damages your knees.
Yeah.
And what I've realized with them playing here on concrete floors, when they're actually selected to play for a team overseas, or they go off to college, get a scholarship and so on, they're not accustomed to playing on wooden floors, so their knees have already been weakened and damaged and so on. So now they're playing on the correct floors, using the correct shoes. Now they get damaged easy.
Yeah, and even in cricket, as we are talking about cricket too. And the fields. Okay, we're doing the best we have with the little limited resources that we do have.
Right.
And I constantly say we keep relying on the government to do everything.
Everything.
Now the corporate sponsors will come on board if what we are doing is structured properly, and the corporate sponsors are getting the mileage. When you look at the pitches itself, may be fine, but the outskirts may not.
Right.
Because then when the ball is coming to you and you're trying to dive to catch the ball and there's stones all around.
Yeah.
And something I'm also passionate about is multi-purpose use in fields for parties.
Right.
When you're doing that, and then you have glass bottles being broken, smashed.
Yes.
The rain is falling. Your heels and everything are digging up the outskirts of the field. Then you have to spend more money to go and resurface it. So it's so things of that nature. So I'm hoping that this whole ICC Women's World T20, I'm hoping that Antigua really uses it, and the Caribbean in general, but uses it as a platform to see how important sports tourism. And I have no doubt between the two of you that is going to be a huge success, and that Antigua in particular, of course, I'm Antiguan, so my passion is here.
Absolutely.
Antigua in particular will use that as a platform to really take it to the next level.
Yes.
Sports tourism.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And I just want to add that a young man from Antigua just got signed to the 76ers, Norvell Pell.
Oh, wow.
So we have a lot of things to be proud of, but sometimes the information doesn't get to us. If he didn't come to our office to renew his passport, I would have never have known. So congratulations to Norvell, who was born and raised in Antigua, being signed to the NBA.
Yeah.
Kudos to him.
It is fantastic news.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you announced it here on the Automotive RGN Sports.
Yes. Perfect.
That's what we do here. Ladies, again, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
I'm already looking forward to next week. my usual party segment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every week
And,
it's something.
And these 2 shirts are for me, right?
No, no, Ricky, no. How about
One for you and there's one for
let me
him.
take mine.
And you also have bandanas.
Yes.
Hey, we got good days. Ricky wants to have both of them. No,
Yes.
no. Again, ladies, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And, again, looking forward to having a lot more information and getting the word out, getting the message out. And I'm looking forward to next week. You know,
Yes.
every week Shelana brings something new.
Every week.
I am really
Well, the thing about
really
Ezekiel,
excited.
let's hope she continually brings beautiful women inside you to join her beautiful self.
I have to mix it up sometimes.
Yes.
Again, ladies, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to a lot more information about the women's T20 and all of that good stuff. Hopefully next week we'll find out a little bit more about some marketing, some possible ticket giveaways. You know, we can work on that.
Yes.
You know, that all that good stuff.
There's lots more to come.
You know,
Lots
so
more to
we're
come.
definitely looking forward to having Shelana join us weekly until the tournament, because that's the plan, right?
That's the plan.
Weekly.
That's the plan.
I love it.
Weekly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Ricky, I think it's time for our second break. And once we come back, then we're going to have Dr. Millis in the studio to wrap up our program as usual. So we're going to do that now. We're going to take that second break at the newly rebranded Automotive Arts GN Sports Show. And when we're back, we're going to have Dr. Millis in, and we're going to continue our discussion about sports drinks and our young athletes.
Conversations is back, but before we meet our guests for season 2, we'll take a look back at the highlights of season 1 all throughout the month of September. So join us every Monday at 8 p.m. for Conversations right here on ABS.
APA would like to inform consumers that the electricity network will be closely monitored during Hurricane Irma. Based on the severity of the weather conditions, the network will be completely closed down to minimize damage. This will be done under the advice of the Met Office. Residents are asked to have a supply of flashlights and other battery-operated lighting equipment. Candles and kerosene lamps are possible fire hazards and not encouraged.
Conversations is back, but before we meet our guests for season 2, we'll take a look back at the highlights of season 1 all throughout the month of September. So join us every Monday at 8 p.m. for Conversations right here on ABS.
APA would like to inform consumers that the electricity network will be closely monitored during Hurricane Irma. Based on the severity of the weather conditions, the network will be completely closed down to minimize damage. This will be done under the advice of the Met Office. Residents are asked to have a supply of flashlights and other battery-operated lighting equipment. Candles and kerosene lamps are possible fire hazards and not encouraged.
the newly branded Automotive Arts GN Sports Show, and in studio
I like that.
with us again is Dr. Rick Millis, who's a professor at the AUA. And
our doctor in the house, as we call him. And
doctor in the house.
And Dr. Millis has been with the GN Sports Show
since its inception.
Since its inception, since we were on another station before, and he has kindly agreed to come back on again. And this is our third episode on our new home, ABS Radio, 90.5 FM, and we're glad to have Dr. Rick back again. And last week we left off, we were just talking about hydration.
So I think that's a pretty good place for us to pick up.
Hydration in sports. And I think if my recollection goes well, I was just asking him a question about electrolyte drinks and how that affects the athletes, or if it's beneficial.
Well, first of all, it's great to be back, and I like your new home here. This is really cool. And I like that Automotive Art, I buy a lot of stuff there, is one of the sponsors. So this is great. And one of the reasons I'm back, you may not know, is because Ricky pays me very well. Now, you ask me what he pays me. Well, he has this wife, her name is Sharon, and she has this Sharon's Healthy Foods. And if you ever tasted Sharon's Healthy Foods, you'll know that I always insist on a pie, especially a coconut cream pie. It's out of this world. So once in a while I get a coconut cream pie, and that's good enough for me. That's why I'm back.
Well, Judge, looking at Ricky probably eats most of those pies.
No. Actually, I don't. She makes it for everybody else except me. But anyway.
With good reason, Ricky.
Yeah, good reason.
With very good reason.
Very good reason, yes.
Yeah, but...
she doesn't want you to fatten up too much.
Explode. Anyway, Doc.
All right, so let's get to electrolyte balance and thirst and hydration. So what I teach athletes to do is they have to become, especially youth athletes, aware of their bodies. Okay, they have to know what's going on. So the first mechanism that protects us against getting dehydrated, and we don't want to be dehydrated because that makes our muscles not function well, not function optimally. We don't get optimal force. We don't get optimal coordination. And so whatever sport you're doing, come on, it's going to fail. You're going to fail. You're not going to perform well. So the first protection is, of course, our thirst mechanism. Our thirst mechanism comes from where? It comes from the fact that when we sweat and we make urine, we lose more water than we do what you just called electrolytes. Electrolytes are basically the salts that are left back in our bloodstream. They're circulating with the water, but when we get dehydrated, we're losing more water than we are salt. Your salt tastes salt. Your sweat tastes salty. Your tears taste salty. Okay? Your urine even is salty, although we don't usually taste urine. Although in some cultures they do.
I'll take your word for it.
Anyway, so when you lose more water than salt, the salt or the electrolytes stay behind. And that stimulates your thirst from a place in your brain called the hypothalamus, where we have a thirst center. Okay? So you have to be aware. So if the sport is like a 45-minute activity, an hour activity, something relatively short like that, our thirst mechanism works very well. Even now, our thirst mechanism is working pretty good as we sit here. Are you thirsty?
No.
Okay, then you're not dehydrated. Okay? Now, the next thing I train athletes to do is to pay attention to their urine. Okay? Why? Because the color of your urine tells you how well hydrated you are. What is the healthiest urine, Ricky? What does your urine usually look like? Or is that too much information?
No, that's fair enough information. It's a fairly light yellow.
Okay, that sounds pretty healthy. In fact, the healthiest urine is the urine that's transparent.
Yeah,
where there's no color to it at all. Assuming you're not drinking alcohol. Because alcohol makes your urine look like that, even though you're getting dehydrated. Because alcohol inhibits a hormone made by your brain that helps us conserve water. So you lose water in the urine and you're getting dehydrated. Okay? But if you're hydrating normally, the extra water you take in goes out into your urine, And that's what makes it light. When you're drinking alcohol, it's the effect of the alcohol, and that's not good.
Well, I have the remedy for that. Whatever alcohol, I drink rum. So
Okay.
I mix it with water. So I have rum and water. So I hydrate while I dehydrate.
That's a good one. You hydrate while you're dehydrated. Well, a lot of people do that.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so,
And from
so
what I see in
do.
Antigua, there's a lot of people like you.
So I hydrate while I dehydrate.
The majority of the population apparently is like Ricky.
But when you get dehydrated also too, in terms of for the athletes, do that cause cramps?
Yes, it causes cramps, but let's go back to the urine. It makes the urine look dark, yellow, even when your urine is almost a very dark yellow, almost like a green. That's the most severe dehydrated state. Okay, so first thing we want to tell people is to pay attention to your thirst mechanism if it's a short activity. But beyond an hour, your thirst is not a reliable indicator. I know sometimes I go out and play basketball for 3 hours. I am sweating like a pig. Water all over the place. I can hardly raise my arms because my shirt is just soaked, you know? It's weighing me down. And yet I'm not thirsty. And I know that can't be possible, that I'm properly hydrated. And so that proves. Have you had that experience at all?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah, so it's beyond like about an hour, your thirst is not a reliable indicator. So if you're paying attention to your urine, the color and the amount of urine you're making. So if you go in during a long activity and go to the bathroom and urinate, or let's say afterward when you're training and you notice you're not really making much urine, that means that you've been tremendously dehydrated throughout the activity. You've been dehydrated, right?
Right.
When you're not making a lot of urine. Because what's happening is your kidneys are kind of shutting down because they're trying to retain the water and they're shutting down. And so that shutting down of the kidneys and that low urine volume where you can't get much out is telling you you've been too dehydrated. So what do you have to do? How about drinking water as you go? I mean, we've all heard this. You have to have a water drinking plan to maintain your hydration. Now you raise the question of cramps, right? So
Yes.
we're off the urine and we're on to cramps. So where does cramping come from? Cramping is a muscle that has contracted and won't relax. Okay? We get cramping from a lot of things. One thing is fatigue. When you run out of energy, you know the energy inside cells is called ATP. You've heard of that?
No, I haven't.
No?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I that's part of my physical education program.
Yeah, of course. That's ATP. ATP is like the battery juice of the cell. If a cell runs out of ATP, it just can't function. Well, if your muscle cells run out of ATP, guess what they do? They cramp up. Okay? You heard of rigor mortis?
Mm-hmm.
Rigor
Yes, I
mortis
know.
is when your muscles get stiff after death, okay, after you die, because they ran out of ATP.
Right.
So stiff muscles is an indication of fatigue. Inability to relax or a cramp is also from fatigue. Okay, but fatigue that causes you to run out of battery juice, run out of the ATP. But does dehydration do the same thing? Yes, because this stuff that we call ATP is fueling pumps inside our cells, pumps that cause us to relax our muscles. It's a calcium pump for anybody who's interested.
Mm-hmm.
It's a calcium pump. It pumps calcium from inside the cell to outside the cell because calcium inside the cell makes the molecular motors of the cell move, and that's what's causing the force that you're creating in the muscle. Anyway, that may be too much detail. The point is that when you're dehydrated, those pumps stop working. So you see where if you run out of energy from fatigue, you run out of ATP, right? But if your muscles get dehydrated, then the ATP can't attach to the right places in the cell. The calcium can't get pumped, and the muscle won't relax from that, for that reason.
So that's why when an athlete suffers from a cramp, and they give him salt tablets or salt
Yes, sometimes it works, the salt tablets. Sometimes they work, because when you take salt tablets, the salt is attracting water. And the water is then rehydrating the cell.
Right.
So,
and then the pump starts to work.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's not anything very complicated, but it works sometimes, not all the time.
And what about these energy boosting drinks for dehydration?
Yes.
Or even not necessarily the energy drinks, but the electrolyte drinks. Which of the two would you recommend that athletes use, if any, in terms of that, or should they just use plain water?
Well, plain water is good for short-lived activities, let's say 45 minutes to an hour. Water is plenty. But when you start exercising beyond an hour, you need some energy. You don't get energy from just water. So you need electrolytes, you need some glucose, some sugar to, give you some extra energy to make what? ATP, the battery juice of the cell. Right. Okay? So it wards off fatigue. It wards off fatigue when you take in the electrolytes with the sugar. But it's usually for this longer-term activity. Shorter-term activity, water's just fine.
Okay, and what's the real difference between athletes drinking energy drinks as opposed to electrolyte drinks?
Okay, well, the energy drinks actually give them energy. They give them more muscle force. Why? Because the energy drinks have caffeine in them.
So the caffeine.
And we talked about before.
Right. The caffeine makes a difference.
Caffeine makes the difference. Caffeine causes the muscle to accumulate more calcium inside. And there you get more contraction force. And so you can lift greater weight. So if you can lift greater weight and you can do more work, it makes you feel like you have more energy. Well, you do have more energy because you can do more work. You see? Plus, caffeine also makes you more alert. Your brain more alert, right? You stay up from caffeine. Not everybody is equally sensitive to it, but yes.
I'm not that sensitive.
Well, it does nothing for me.
No,
but
me either.
But in terms of the difference, if you just use the electrolyte drinks, like Gatorade or Lucozade or Powerade or one of those things, as opposed to Monster or Red Bull or one of those energy drinks.
Rockstar.
Well, if you're assuming that you don't have any adverse reaction to it, because one of the problems with taking in caffeine, it also acts as a diuretic. It causes you to lose water, and so you get dehydrated, possibly. And some people are sensitive to caffeine. And assuming you're not sensitive to caffeine, and you take in this caffeine, a little bit of caffeine will stimulate your muscles to be able to do more work, and you actually can improve your performance. So if you talk about performance-enhancing drugs, even though we don't think of coffee and Cokes and soft drinks with caffeine in it as necessarily a drug, it really is a performance-enhancing drug if you don't have adverse reactions to it.
But other drinks like Gatorade or Powerade or one of those, they're not energy boosting drinks.
They are slightly energy boosting drinks in that they cause you to make more of that battery juice called ATP from, by giving you a little bit of glucose.
And then those will be fine for
sugar.
Short term.
For short term.
For long term.
No, so what we're trying to pin down in terms if I'm doing an activity for, let's say, 45 minutes, that's water.
Water's fine. That's the point. Water.
Anything past the hour mark, we're looking at not only not being dehydrated, but we're also looking at something to give us energy to continue.
Exactly, and salt too.
And salt.
Yes.
So that's
because
where
you're sweating.
That's where the energy drinks have their place.
Exactly.
And so because I think there's a misconception with a lot of people. Oh, the energy drinks are all bad for you. The rock stars, the monsters, the kickstart, and so there's a certain part of of the community that says, you know, those things are really, really bad. But you're saying that long term, if we're doing activities in excess of an hour, hour and a half, then those are the things that actually can make the difference in our performance.
Yes, well, but don't forget the energy drink, even in the short run. Let's say you're just doing weightlifting for 45 minutes or an hour. Well, you'll be able to do more work if you're taking a little bit of caffeine.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. A little shot of coffee or a Coke or something like that.
Oh, so you still can just use the coffee instead of the...
Yes. Yes. Oh, you don't need the energy drink. You just take
so I should be
coffee or even a Coke.
I should be full of energy. I drink 2 cups of coffee before I go to work.
Well, you do have a lot of energy.
And then
you should be full of energy.
And then I should be. and then I have another cup just after midday. So about 3 cups of coffee I have a day.
Mm-hmm.
So actually I do have a lot of energy.
Yes. You don't quite need that much.
No, but I enjoy it.
Yes, of course. But anyway, the little bit of coffee, a little shot of coffee, a little bit of Coke or something. Now, I played college basketball many years before both of you were born. Many years ago in the 1960s on a college basketball team. And in those days, guess what they gave us at halftime?
Coffee.
Cokes.
Coke.
And it worked. We didn't know. I mean, I don't think back in the 60s we even knew what caffeine did to the muscles. Nobody told us.
But it worked.
But it worked. We became national NIT champions 1967. Southern Illinois University.
He's played with some of the NBA greats.
I have.
Not in the NBA.
At least I guarded them. No, not in the NBA.
In college.
I guarded them. I actually made them who they are, and I told them by guarding them, I made them who they are, and I'm waiting for a check.
Yes.
I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah. Okay. Give us a couple of the names that you played with.
We'll track them down.
Well, Walt Clyde Frazier, for example, was on my team, and
that was at.
He was one of the top 50 NBA players of all time, named, and he still does the play-by-play for the Knicks, a Knicks star, and so people like that.
That's excellent.
Even a few years ago, Kevin Durant played with him on a regular basis. And I was in my 60s already. So, and I hit a few J's on him, a few threes on him. Of course, I don't think he was working too hard. But yeah, you heard of Len Bias?
Yes.
Len Bias. I used to train with him and did a lot of shooting drills with him. And that was a very sad story because he, after signing one of the biggest NBA contracts in history, the biggest NBA contract in history at that point, by the Boston Celtics, went back to Maryland, where I was living. Actually, that's where I trained with him at the University of Maryland. I was doing research there, and took some cocaine and had an adverse reaction to cocaine and died.
That was sad.
Yeah, very sad story.
Yeah,
but was touted as one of the greatest players, including being equivalent to Michael Jordan at that time. So anyway, those kinds of people I have known, but and people my age that I have known, and even younger, none of them are still playing, and I still am here at JSC. Anytime, folks, you want to come down and shoot with me, I'm at JSC every Saturday.
Well, you went into a different field. You went into medicine.
Yes.
And you've done really well with that. And you're very knowledgeable. And that any topic we throw at you, you can answer.
Yes. Well, of course. But you haven't seen my J. You come to JSC and you see my jump shot, and you'll probably think I should be the oldest NBA player in history.
But no, the problem is that he goes to JSC after the show.
His bedtime is 7:30.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that.
And Wiki wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a jump shot and a hook shot. Anyways, Dr. Millis,
Sure.
Always a pleasure. Thanks again for joining us.
You're welcome.
On the GN
See you
Sports
next week,
Show.
huh?
Definitely, definitely see you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, this unfortunately has brought us to the end of another episode of the newly branded Automotive Arts GN Sports Show. On behalf of the production team here at ABS, our producers, cameramen, operators, we'd just like to thank you for joining us both on Facebook and also on ABS Radio, and we definitely look forward to seeing you guys next week, same time, same place. Thanks a lot for joining us.